Today, we're going to drop all the pretense and formalities and just talk about a game that fascinates me. That game is Segagaga. Released on March 29th, 2001, only in Japan, it would be one of the final exclusive titles Sega would publish for their Dreamcast console. A console they would discontinue and abandon just 2 days after Segagaga's release. And let me just clarify, they would never make a console again. What is so intriguing about Segagaga and its proximity to its publisher's downfall is the fact that the game's story seems to deal with that downfall in real time, depicting its fictionalized version of Sega as failing just as hard as its real-life counterpart. What this has led to is Segagaga not only becoming a cult classic video game, but also an enlightening cultural relic for us gaming historians to better understand the fall of one of gaming's biggest companies. Throughout this whole video, I pronounce Segagaga as Segagaga because it just sounds better. It makes more sense in my head, okay? So if you don't like it, like and subscribe the video maybe. That'll teach me, you know? Like and subscribe the video if you dislike the way I'm saying that word. Segagaga. Segagaga as a game is actually quite the unique mix of genres. During its marketing, the game was referred to as a Sega simulator, due to its story revolving around the company and its inner workings. Though, in more concrete terms, Segagaga is a jrpg with strong adventure game elements and flourishes of management simulation. The game sees the player take up the role of Taro Sega, a teenager hired by Sega to pull the company out of a financial hole. You see, in the game's fiction, much like real life at the time, Sega is on the verge of collapse. They only hold 3% of worldwide video game market share, and are the last holdouts in the market takeover of Dogma, aka Sony, who hold the other 97% of the video game market. Taro and the player are sent into the Nerve-esque, militarized headquarters of Sega, and are tasked with whipping the developers into shape and making sure the company runs up to snuff. This does usually just take the form of standard turn-based RPG battles, though the framing alone is cool enough. And the art style, now that makes up for any shortcomings. Loose lips sink ships. I absolutely adore Segagaga's art style. This game has one of the most eclectic and collagic art directions I have ever seen in video games. And I would label Segagaga's look as found object art. What's found object art? Found object art is a European art movement started in the 20th century that displayed and recontextualized everyday objects as art. The most famous example of the movement is Marcel Duchamp's Fountain from 1917. Pretty nice. To me, Segagaga becomes found object art through its use of contrasting and varied art assets, often created from completely different mediums. Just look! The player character is traditional 2D pixel art, the environments are textured polygonal models, that enemy is an actual photograph, and some of the assets were even hand-drawn. I don't think I've ever played a game that is so multifarious in its visual language, and in the mediums it uses to achieve those visuals. This collage-esque approach to visual design feels completely apt for a game celebrating Sega, one of the most colourful and unique voices in all of gaming. When Sonic the Hedgehog and Alex the Kid start showing up, they don't feel out of place at all, and it's probably due to just how well Sega as a brand fits into such a bombastic and heterogeneous aesthetic. That is Segagaga's biggest strength, its ability to capture the heart of Sega as a group of creatives. Though, with that comes some not so good stuff. Both before and after the Dreamcast, and Sega's self-exile from the console-making market, there had been accusations of poor working conditions at the company. Of course, they're not the only ones. Many Japanese companies, especially game publishers, have been accused over the years of overworking their employees, to the point where there is now a word in Japanese to describe death from overwork. Karoshi. This is the dark shadow of Sega's light and friendly public image. And with this knowledge, one starts to question Segagaga and its role as an homage to Sega as a company. The game tasks the player with entering the locked-down offices of the company's development teams and whipping into shape the goblinized and utterly dehumanized developers behind some of your favourite games. Once one understands the real human toll behind these ginormous entertainment products, it's hard to laugh at the twisted and strange monsters you fight between the cubicles at Sega's offices. Segagaga depicts its titular company as financially floundering, and almost asks the question of why is this happening? The game presents the bubbly fun the company is known for, but can't quite grasp why it's not catching people like it used to. Though, in my opinion, Segagaga answers its own question about the failure of the company. Sega's employees, the talented designers, programmers and artists who crafted the products that made the company rich, are depicted as lazy, entitled monsters who must be beaten into submission and told what to do. One gets the feeling that perhaps this depiction wasn't too far off from how the higher-ups at Sega actually saw their employees. So to me, the answer to the question of Sega's downfall lies in the very depiction the company offered up of itself. Now, why are we talking about any of this? Well, despite the fact that this is my YouTube channel and I can talk about whatever I like, the reason I feel the need to shout so loudly about Segagaga is that still, over 20 years after its release, we have not received a fan translation for this game. Yes, for over 2 decades, Segagaga has only ever been playable in Japanese, and hence, in the West, is naught but a name and a dream. A dream that many have tried to realise. Like Tokimeki Memorial, whose fan translation I have previously made a video about, Segagaga has had many failed fan translation attempts. It seems every few years someone crawls out of the woodworks, starts working on it, and then disappears. There are videos out there on YouTube that add subtitles to footage of the game, but that's hardly a replacement for a fully translated patch. Unfortunately, however, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So basically, I've made this video in some sort of vain attempt to kickstart some new interest around Segagaga, in the hopes that someone will soon translate the game. I believe that Segagaga is a game that deserves a far larger audience than it currently has. And when taken with its real-life context, Segagaga becomes an integral piece of historical reference for not only understanding Sega as a company, but also the Japanese video game industry as a whole. So, I'll ask one time, and one time only. Please, fan translate Segagaga. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting to the end of this video. If you liked it, let me know why you liked it in the comments below and maybe hit the like button. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to the Any Button to Start channel. We've got a lot of cool content coming that you should check out. Till next time.